to get these engines in the boat. My plan is to actually take this generator. It's exactly what you're not supposed to do. We did step it up quite a bit. It doesn't help that I had it cooking at 70 degrees in here. Oh my god. Oh, now we're screwed. All right, guys, we're back at it. Working inside today because it is pretty cold outside. Actually, very cold outside. So we're doing stuff in this shop. And with it being so cold, unfortunately, I kind of didn't film any of cutting up the water tank, so I'm going to kind of catch you up to date on what's going on. Just got undressed from all of the gear that I was wearing to be able to do all the cutting and grinding, and I'll show you where I just left off. Here's my fresh water tank, and you can see I just glassed the baffles in because unfortunately I had to take out, I believe, 13 inches out of the tank and shrink it. So now this is what it's looking like. So the baffles was actually right in the middle of the tank, which actually lined up right to where I ended up cutting it. So I cut the baffles out and basically now put them in what is now the center of the tank. The glass is actually still a little tacky, so they're all just tabbed in, 2 layers of glass. I think it should be plenty. By the looks from the factory, that's basically what there was. I don't know if I remember telling you guys this, but I'll show you. Started working on, which is now technically the top. Got the inside glassed, where I basically destroyed it trying to get the tank out and used the jaws of life in a couple places. Don't mind my rough measurements and calculations. Seeing how much water the tank will still hold. At this point, I still hold 160-ish gallons of water, so I'm pretty happy with that. Over here, it's the section. That's how much I had to cut out. So basically sat it on the ground, got it level, used a laser level to mark it out, to mark 2 lines and then chop her down. Now I'm trying to find all the things I can do inside, which is right now working on this. On both sides of the engine, between the hull and on the first stringer, there's basically just shelves. Nice spot to mount things, and it is where all my water maker pumps, everything like that, were mounted. It was made out of plywood, which was interesting enough, showed moisture, but when I tore it apart, it definitely looked pretty good compared to this, which I don't think I've showed you guys. You can see from factory, everywhere they drilled a hole, no sealant, not even tried to gel coat it to seal it up. Oh, I guess this one they tried a little bit of gel coat there, but where the generator was actually bolted to, no sealant, no nothing. It just all rotted away. That area, I did decide to go back together with wood, mainly because I don't have any more Kusa or enough to do it. So that's actually what is underneath here, which is the start of it. So that's actually the bottom piece of it. What I'm doing different from the factory is the underneath, I actually did a full layer of 1708. The factory plywood was just resin coated in some areas, maybe some white paint, which I can kind of show you. There's their tabbing, and it looks like, I don't even think it's been resin coated. I think it was just white paint. Maybe, yeah, no, maybe it was resin coated. But you can literally see the staples that they used to just staple 2 pieces of plywood together. For me, that doesn't cut it. I want this to outlast forever. My decision is going to be, for everything I'm doing here, I'm doing a full layer of glass, at least on the bottom side, rounding it around the corners, and every hole I drill will be some sort of either glass, resin coated, and then even sealant, some 5200, some 4200, to seal those holes to stop any moisture or water from penetrating inside the wood. So it doesn't end up like that in 30 years. And I got my brand new generator, my 21.5 kilowatt OAN sitting right here, which I know that doesn't look like a brand new generator. Well, got it for a relatively good price because it's a brand new generator, engine, winding, everything, just inside of an old housing. I am gonna try take some of the housing apart, possibly get it powder coated. We'll see what I get to at that point. And pretty soon, this giant pile of parts will start going together. Mainly excited to get these engines in the boat. And then also got to separate the trans, or the gears, from the engines itself. Got to take the turbos off and the heat exchangers to make them fit in the boat. It'll be so much easier to take that off and then just reinstall it inside the boat. This is almost a 2-foot span and nothing in the middle that supports it. So I'm actually going to do Kusa stringers, a couple of them all the way down, just to stop from any flex or anything like that, and just be way overbuilt, which things like that I feel like the factory should have did, but it is what it is. trying to use Coosa for almost everything possible, especially in areas where it would absolutely suck to cut it all out again and try to redo it. The one thing nice about the generator bedding, besides for having to try to scoot the generator out of the way, it would be somewhat possible to get at if ever needed to repair it in the future. But if that lasted 30 years from the factory, I think what I'm doing should last 50 years, if not longer, considering I'm going to be glassing and sealing off absolutely everything. All right, I'm going to get to work, put this camera down, and like I said, I'll try to catch up with you when I get more of the tank done and some of this built today. We're over here at the boat now, so I can kind of show you what I was doing with that piece of Coosa. So we got our new bulkhead that was built, our aft bulkhead that was recored and still currently working on glassing it. But because I was thinking about tying all of this in at the same time, that's kind of why I haven't put the final layer of glass and routed the edge yet. So I figured I'd start working on this. As you can see on this side, it's basically what it looked like, and obviously it stopped at the old bulkhead. Well, underneath that, I kind of left the old bulkhead, which I still think I'm gonna just try to taper it off and use it as just extra support in the hull right there, and just run a brand new piece of Coosa over top. Right here where my water tank goes, we obviously have to get that built, get it back installed. I'm gonna try to put the whole top deck here. As you see over here, you can see that it was made out of 3/4 plywood and braced pretty nicely actually, but because again it was plywood, my water tank sits right here, which again, it's a water tank, so it gets hot, cold, a lot of condensation was building around it, things like that, and just moisture. It did rot out the wood right where it was sitting. And another thing is, because it started rotting out, it started pooling. As the water would sit, it would slowly sink down more and more and become more of a pool, which just sped up the process. So in this corner, because it's a heavy tank, I'm actually going to try to brace it off of the stringers quite a bit better in that corner. And then again, a whole layer of Coosa all the way across. I'm going to also be cutting this out because I do have to cut that bulkhead down and continue it. Doing the same thing as you see on this side. So we'll just have one bigger shelf area, and then all the pumps and everything like that can get mounted on there. Because Coosa doesn't hold fasteners well, my plan is in certain areas, because I have so many pieces of scrap Coosa, I'm actually going to be double stacking some pieces, or like I was explaining, running some little vertical stringers, probably 3-inch long stringers every foot, glass the bottom in, and then kind of mark and measure where all those are. So this way, when I go to mount the new pumps and everything like that, I'll have good areas to put like 3-inch screws, things like that, to really try to get a bite into everything for where I'm mounting it. Just because Coosa doesn't hold fasteners as good as plywood, but still pretty decent, especially once you got a layer of glass on top and bottom. And then here is where that generator bedding is going, which gotta try to struggle get this roof open. I might wait for some help because I have to get it through here because it doesn't fit through my engine room door. And then it will look like this. And the same thing, once I get this one built and glassed in, my plan is to actually take this generator, slide it over, remount it here, then cut this one out and rebuild it as well. So now you know what's going on. I'm gonna continue getting things test fit, figuring out what needs to be cut out, what doesn't, and getting to work. There you go, guys. Been sitting here and just trying to get out all the little air bubbles like that. Not too concerned. As you can see, I actually did this pretty incorrectly. This is all just one big layer of glass that I just went like this. It's exactly what you're not supposed to do when you're doing this. For what I'm doing, this is the bottom of the floor. It is going to be so overkill for strength, it's not even going to be funny. So every foot is a 3.5-inch tall Coosa, pretty much a stringer underneath the floorboard to just stiffen everything up. These I'm not too worried about. I'm gonna trim them off because this lip, which you can kind of see that line there, and same with there, is where this actually sits down on. And then the reason I don't have one here is because the old bulkhead, I don't know if you can kind of see that, but the old bulkhead runs right here. This is the bottom. Only, I guess, me and all of you guys are going to see it, but after that it's going to be flipped upside down, glassed over, never to be seen again. And it's just there for that extra strength to stiffen up that floorboard, so it's not just a blank piece from factory. It was just a piece laying in there with nothing else on it. So like I said, this is so beyond overkill, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's already overbuilt. So we'll let this kick off, then I can come in with a grinder, snip these corners off, clean it up, and then probably go install it on the boat. Back in the engine room, showing you kind of what that floor was built for. Here's what we got going on. You can see basically what the braces were for. Obviously that one has the old bulkhead is supporting it there at 1 foot. So the plan is to get that glued down in place, then basically tabbed in, fiberglassed in. So now every foot has a brace, because before, like over here, probably hard to see, and I don't know if you can even tell, but long story short is with the weight and everything that was stacked on it, it started just bowing in. So to stop that, I am doing this. And I'm also purposely not having it level with the boat. I'm actually going to be tapering it towards the center, because before I noticed up here is my air vents and stuff like that. So some rain, some waves would get through, and you can actually see where water is dripping through some of the screws from it not being a perfect seal in the back, which I do plan on resealing. But what was happening is water was then dripping down, and then you would come down into the engine room, and there would just be a little pool of water sitting on both of these. So that's why it's going to be on a bit more of an angle, probably I'd say like a 5-degree angle. So not much, but just that slight bit. So this way, if rain or any sort of water just simply washing down the engine room, anything that sits there just naturally drains right towards the bilge. That'll make things a lot better and just keep it drier in those areas. I'm gonna mix up a whole bunch of thickened resin and kind of glob it all in place, smooth it out, let that set up, and then probably tomorrow come back and actually start putting some layers of glass on it. I don't think I'm gonna go too heavy on the glass. Probably 2 layers of 1708 and 1 layer of just chop strand. The chop strand will be more of the sacrificial layer that gets kind of sanded smooth. So that's the plan. All right, so this is now what's going on. So obviously I moved the bulkhead. That is some very rotted wood. This was the bulkhead. As you can see, that is right here is where the I-beam mounted. That went right across to there. And all the weight of the engines was resting on this area. And they didn't seal anything. So none of these holes were sealed. Everything was just drilled through and stuck a bolt in. Obviously, quite a bit of water penetration has happened over the years. Look at that. It's very rotted. Obviously, we have a new bulkhead here. I actually cut into it right under this to check the wood coring, and somehow it was still very good. Doesn't look too good here, so we are gonna cut into it, tie everything back together. But with verifying with a moisture meter and trusty ball peen hammer, I would also say use a moisture meter with kind of a grain of salt. They can be really sometimes misleading, sometimes not give the most accurate numbers, and we even have a pretty decent reader. You kind of give it a good scan, get you a general idea, and then this is a little overkill, but it's what I have currently. Then after that, go around, give it a little tap. So nice hard thud is kind of what you're looking for, as that was on a brand new bulkhead that was just built. Very solid. So I'll do a comparison. I'll knock on that, and then I'll knock on this area here. If you hear that, that's no good. No good at all. I've looked at some of the other stringers that are kind of torn apart because of obviously moving the bulkhead. But, of course, I have a ton of 3/4 inch Coosa because that's what the bulkhead was made out of. That's what these little areas here were made out of. And all the stringers on this boat are made out of 2 1-inch pieces of plywood. So if you guys do the math, the math doesn't math there, right? So I am waiting on a couple sheets of Coosa that is 1 inch thick. And once that arrives, which I might start today though, but we're gonna gut one side of it. So basically cut it all open, gut it all out, all the old wood, grind it out, wire wheel it out, just like how we did this here, which I don't really think I have too good a video of, but we're gonna recore it with Coosa material. I officially got the first layer of glass put on the little shelf area here on the port side. Here's how it's looking. All my corners actually turned out very nice. So that's 1 layer. I think I'm gonna do 3 layers. It's all tabbed into the new bulkhead, the back wall, and the first port stringer. And I had a little bit leftover resin, so I'll show you what I did here. So that area is where the old bulkhead was. So it's a little bit lower still from all the tabbing, And I figured instead of grinding down all of the old tabbing, I'm gonna actually build up the area where the old bulkhead was. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do it through all these areas, all the way. And then once it's built up flush, I will do a couple full layers over everything and smooth it all out, just like this area here, and sand it all smooth. Still waiting for the Kusa come in to start rebuilding this stuff. Biggest trick for being decent at fiberglass, because I used to kind of suck at it, is being generous with resin. I used to have always, like with this project, as you guys seen, I just bought a 55-gallon drum. It's been so much easier not stressing, oh my God, am I gonna run out of resin, different things like that. So now I can kind of just mix a little extra, use what I need, and for the most part, toss what I don't use, or utilize it for little projects like that. I kind of always have a plan B, something with a little bit of extra glass cut ready to go to utilize the extra resin, because with multiple things going on, you can always use resin in a different area, or that extra tab here and there, things like that. So I always try to have that plan B ready to go to at least use up the resin that you already have mixed with the hardener. That's how everything is going. Guys, I'm on my final layer here. And you're wondering, for anyone new to the fiberglass world, what is that weird looking material? Well, that's what's known as peel ply. So, if you hate sanding like I do, doing this is what's going to save you a lot of sanding. So you add this final layer and roll it out nice and smooth, and I'll show you once everything's hardened up how nice peel ply is. It's pretty much the same process of adding the actual fiberglass. Got that way done, working my way this way. But what it's going to do is it's just going to give a very, very smooth finish. And this somehow does not stick. Like, it sticks to an extent, but it peels right up. And what it does, two things. It makes everything nice and smooth, and then at the same time, it kind of helps soak up any excess resin that you just don't need. So added weight from the resin that is just simply not needed. It also helps kind of working out the rest of the air bubbles, because it's just another time that you go over everything. But it makes a big difference when it comes down to having to do the finishing work and sanding it all out after. I'm going to continue rolling this out, since you can kind of see this is going horribly now that as soon as I try to pick up the camera. That end down there is looking good, and I've still got over here to go. Once I do the satisfying peeling it all off, I'll bring you guys with me to get that done. About 72 degrees, or about 22-ish, 23 Celsius, something like that. Between trying to work fast and get it done, I'm sweating. It's all hardened up. It's been about 4 or 5 hours. Like I told you guys, I'm gonna show you what it looks like with the peel ply. Pretty simple. Once you think it's good, look at that finish. Look at that. Saves so much sanding.
Now that is the cat's meow.
That is perfect. Look at that. One more step done. Turned out pretty good. I like it. Let it cure overnight, and we'll do some sanding on it. Now, I have places to put things again, which will be nice. Oh, good morning, guys. It's a bit of a slow Sunday for me, so I'm going to show you what we got going on today. I kind of realized that I didn't film much of the water tank process. Gonna kind of go over it quickly. Unfortunately, this working a lot by myself was kind of do a little bit here, do a little bit there. I kind of just picked away at it slowly. I'm almost at the final step. I'm going to turn the camera around, kind of show you what's going on here. Everything has been put back together for the most part. All the baffles are put back in. I cut out, as I talked, that middle section and shrunk it. Lost 100 gallons of water roughly with my crude math there. So this is kind of what it looks like. So at this point, as you see with all the white sticking out, that's gel coat. So what you kind of have to do for being a water tank is you got to essentially seal the entire inside so that you don't have any water penetration into the bare fiberglass. And that's the whole purpose of gel coat, creates that water barrier. With that being said, it's kind of hard to do when you got to make an enclosure and have it all sealed. What I ended up doing was I kind of copied what it looked like the factory did, just instead of the top being the top is now the side technically. So I gel coated all of the inside all the way around, and then I came in with a silicone. So right now, just by silicone, it's all holding together. And that's kind of how it looks all the way around. And yes, you have to kind of get a special silicone. It's pretty costly. Whatever the hardware store had, just a all-purpose, as it works for dishwashers, microwaves, all that kind of stuff. So you have to get like a food safe silicone, because obviously this is going to be my drinking water tank. Mind you, we don't really use my freshwater tank for drinking, but still wanted to have no chemicals and things like that inside the water tank. So at this point, it's pretty ugly. Got to sand it up, clean it up, and still got to fix all the outside areas here. I did glass all the damaged areas from me ripping the tank out with probably 5 to 10 layers of fiberglass. So now these damaged areas, I'm going to grind it all out, but I actually have to glass everything back together. So I got to kind of clean it all up and then just wrap layers and layers of glass around it, which thankfully actually came in yesterday too. I just ordered, I was tired of cutting 6-inch and 8-inch strips of glass. Ordered some rolls of fiberglass, a couple different sizes. I got another one kicking around here somewhere, but I got a 4, 6, and 8-inch. So we can overlap each layer by 1 inch on either side. I'm not too sure how many layers of glass I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna do more than 3. I think 3 would for sure be more than enough, but I think just to try to be overkill, probably gonna end up with like 5 layers. 1 real small, and then going all the way out to bigger, and probably even a heavy woven mat. That's kind of like what the tank was made out of, what you can see here. But again, my top is the side, so I do want it to be pretty strong. With that being said though, I'm gonna get this started to be sanded down and get some fiberglass going. So guys, I know I was going to bring you along more of the process, but it's one of these things, working inside, perfect temperature, things are kicking fast, it's hard to pick up the camera. So we're on our last coat, did I believe 6 layers of 1708 all the way around. We are on the last waxed coat, just trying to get rid of most of the air bubbles here. I put the bubble busters away on the last one. They're soaking in acetone. I'm not going to try to get every last air bubble out here. I'm just trying to get it so the wax resin is over top of all the existing layers. We did step it up quite a bit, from all the way from 1 inch to the biggest being 8 inches. The damaged areas from my good old jaws of life, which was here, all along the bottom, and 2 little spots here, those now have an extreme amount of layers. We're talking pretty sure 10 to 12 layers, maybe even more, because then as we were sealing the tank together, we also, every lap around the tank, we also covered. Got quite a few layers. Now just time to work out the bubbles, and then what we're going to do is all around here that gets lapped to the boat, I'm just going to sandblast it, because it works so good to just sandblast. So even here where the stringers technically have to go back in, I'm just going to sandblast this whole area clean to get off the old wax and make it so we can adhere new fiberglass. Pretty much all one tank again, which is nice. Feels good. In the next day or two, I'll be able to actually put it back in the boat. As long as I get everything prepped and ready that I know of on the boat, this thing's going back in. Get some things going back together. We are only a couple of days away from Christmas, and my original goal was to have those things back in the boat, but not happening. With the crazy weather we had this year, this is not happening. I am almost done work for the season, so I can really start putting in the grind, getting things done. All right, time to get the water tank back in. So I'm setting you guys up so you can see the fun process of this. Doesn't help that I had it cooking at 70 degrees in here. Fiberglass. Hold it. This is the tank that has to go into there. So that's currently what's happening here. Do it like this. Yeah.
Hang on, hang on.
Try it.
What's that finish? No, down finish.
Go.
I this one level. Take this out or leave this? Oh, it's a perfect fit over here. Woo! How's Aussie? He's giant car.
Whew. That sucked. But that's where the tank goes. You actually see my old tabbing. Purposely left it there so I could actually lay new fiberglass and have something for it to fall on. I gotta rebuild the whole back though, and all of the mini stringers or braces that were this way, but it's in. We just found something pretty scary. So, redid all this. Started coming over here to cut open this one. Look, look at what we just found. I don't even understand. I'm kind of mind blown. Oh, you know, some dust. Nope. This entire cavity is filled to the max with water. And yet somehow, right beside it, the stringers still look perfect. And look at the bulkhead here. This is gonna be interesting. And I almost thought about, I'll just leave it. I don't think it needs to be done. Thank God I am cutting this open. I'm gonna try to pry it off and show you guys. Moment of truth here, look at the water. Look at this. Oh my God. I have a fish tank.
Oh.
In my boat. Wow. Huh. I don't even know what to say. I am legitimately gonna need a sub pump to pump out the water. Yeah, that's not good. That is not good at all, guys. Now, where the heck is the water coming from? Let's see here. Ugh. About 5 inches, even though my number's missing there, of nothing but water. How wild is that? Holy crap. Guess we'll see what happens. Oh, it's already going down. It's draining in like crazy. All right, guys. I'm gonna get back to you once I have my swimming pool drained here. That is wild. That's just crazy. Back working on the starboard side. So, there's my fish tank. It's been drying for 2 days now. I had a small electric heater, one fan over there blowing at it, another bigger fan like this guy. Everything in there is very dry now. Sanding it down to see if there's basically any water intrusion into anywhere. Looking pretty good for the most part. It is a scary scenario there, but I guess it is what it is. It's the joy of working on 30-year-old boats. I don't know how well you guys can see. Got the laser level out and have this sheet lining up perfect. As you can see, it's actually a 1/2 inch of slope per 2 feet basically. It's 2 feet, 24 inches. I purposely have it sloped 1/2 inch towards the middle, so it can't bow in just like the other side. I've already explained this before. So the back side is actually sitting on top of where it used to be, with about a 1/4 inch ground down. That gives me that 1/2 inch slope. Getting everything squared up and looking good. Just started grinding off the gel coat, getting that ready. You can see, not quite there yet, but man, grinding gel coat off sucks. So it's getting there. Now I'm gonna pull that piece off, bring it back to the shop, and start putting my mini stringers, or basically supports, underneath it. As you've seen for this side, that side's looking pretty darn good. I gave it a quick sand to see how things were turning out, just on the one area, and then instantly started piling stuff over there. As much as working in a 58-foot boat, you think you have a ton of room in this engine room, especially with nothing in it. But once you start getting my DeWalt sponsorship here and all the miscellaneous resins and sanding wheels, and it's pile tools in, take tools out, pile tools in, take tools out. Water tank, as you've seen, is back in. Kind of starting to get things figured out for this top deck. Just kind of quickly cut a piece, well, didn't quickly, measured it 50 times, cut once, since this is Coosa. I'm going to actually finish marking this out because I have where all the water pickups are. Going to mark all that, bring it to the shop, cut it there. But since we're chatting, I'll show you something interesting. Currently, I had a couple space heaters on, or the 2 space heaters on. The one engine room, one in the salon. And right now, all I have going on is my forced air in diesel heater. I do have 2 set up. Currently 32 degrees out, or 0 Celsius in Canada, even though for the most part I go by Fahrenheit. And don't laugh, but yes, I got this bad boy rigged up, all sealed up, closed off, and insulated. And I've had just that one heater going, engine room open, salon door open, and it has been staying 65 degrees, or I'd say about 18 Celsius. When you're working, very comfortable to be in a t-shirt. And that's obviously in there. In the engine room, it's a bit warmer. I think I do have the hose kind of forcing it more into the engine room. And it's very comfortable in this area. Vevor diesel heaters for the win, for sure. All right, I'm gonna load this stuff up, get to my shop, see what I can get done today. Just because it's already, what do we got here, 8 o'clock. Try to put a couple more hours in. So here we go. Here's a quick little fun tip for you guys. Currently what we are trying to do is we're fighting down in here. So that is my 12-inch rubber exhaust hose, or wet hose. And if you guys have taken any of that kind of stuff apart, you know how much of a fight it is. So what you do, you grab a syringe and some of this, and it's going to be very hard to film, so I'm just going to kind of explain to you what's happening. Is you just inject it in between the two. This causes it to super lubricate the 2 areas and allow you to pull off those exhaust hoses. Like most of those guys with 350s, big blocks, things like that, usually you have like a 3-inch exhaust hose, and just that can be a fight. So you could only imagine what a 12-inch exhaust hose could be. So you do something like this for any of those hoses, and it makes a world of a difference. Like I said, you've seen where it is. It's going to be very hard to film, but I'll kind of do it and show you what it looks like after and explain a little bit more once I pull it out. See, so you slide this guy in there and just start injecting it. The more you can get into different spots, the bigger of a difference it's going to make. Oh, now we're screwed. I don't think the needle's supposed to do that. And oh, still injects.
It's within the allowable tolerance in the boating community.
There. So don't do that though. Give it a couple minutes. Maybe I have another needle. Just like that. Sorry if you can't hear me, I got all the suction fans going. So this way I can kind of breathe and not wear a mask and be able to talk to you guys. My fish tank, we'll call it that, is all sealed up underneath, and currently in the last little bit of work here before the last layer of fiberglass. What you're trying to do is things like that air bubble right there. You notice you can kind of push it out. Sometimes it can be pretty stubborn. You can kind of use the edge of a roller, continuously working the air out. And like I've explained quite a few times, always have a plan B for fiberglassing. You can calculate it as much as you want for how much resin you think you'll need. You almost always don't have enough or have way too much. But yeah, so I got that suction fan and that fan blowing air in from my dual sponsor there, which I don't have. But here was the plan B. Had like half a liter of resin. With how expensive it is, obviously we don't want to waste it. So I already had this whole area prepped where the old bulkhead was, and we did a heavy woven mat to do a couple different things. Help fill the void, but also just tie everything in. But this stuff is extremely strong. So this is actually 2 layers of it. I did 1 full sheet, and just to try to use up scrap, you can actually see this is 2 pieces. So under this is 1 full piece that doesn't tab into the bulkhead, and then the second one goes from here to here, and then you can see from here up to the top. You could totally use a filler to fill this area in, but I'm trying to be overkill, and I'm probably going to fill this entire area in with nothing but fiberglass. So this way, eventually once the build gets the same height as this, I'll do 1 piece of fiberglass overlapping this all the way over, sand it all smooth, and it will look like the factory. Or as if I didn't just cut out a massive bulkhead right here and move it back 15 inches or whatever it was. So there's some progress though. I got my chop strand cut out and ready to go on there, but I forgot to cut out a piece of peel ply. So I'm actually just gonna let that tack up, go back to the shop, grab a piece of peel ply, and then finish that one. So this way, that corner's done, the bulkhead's done. This, I might cut out another couple layers. So while I'm applying that with my plan B, I could add another layer here, and then do that final layer there. Man, does it feel good. Moving forward, instead of just constantly tearing things out. Look at that finish. There's why you use the peel ply. Such a smooth finish. You can actually see the little wrinkles. So you just got sanding like that to deal with instead of a ton of unevenness. And this is what's nice about doing different layers, is along your sides, when you sand it, you're gonna have a perfect smooth transition. Another solid puzzle piece.
It's hot in here.
And it is very hot in here. All right guys, you have now seen we are making great progress. Things are well underway and things are moving along great. At this point though, I'm going to be cutting the video off here. As you guys seen, we got my fish tank all figured out, filled in. The next episode, we're going to tackle some of the stringers that has some issues and finish getting that water tank put in. So that's going to be it for this time. I'm going to catch you guys on the next episode of rebuilding this Viking. Lauren, I don't know what happened. The camera just shut off, so. Once I find my crowbar.
Screen went black.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just, it'll turn the screen.
Don't cut that, Lauren.
Don't cut that?
I'm niche to technology.
All Oh, I totally forgot. We probably can't use any of that.
Classic. Lauren, cut that.
I don't know how.
Hang on, wait. It's facing me. Hang on. How do I do this again? Oh my god. Okay, another blooper. It's on, it's recording.
Yeah, it's recording. He thinks there's a camera front and back, and he's trying to switch it around like your iPhone here.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's not on camera.
Did my needle just break? I think Lauren gave me a dud needle.
I don't like that.
We're trying to dispose of this properly, so it's not just a needle here. Almost a registered nurse now. Okay.